Did you guys know that you can't spell Chevrolet without EV? Well, today we're with the Spark EUV, one of the brand's first electric vehicles here in the Philippines. It does have the looks, but does it have the specs? This is Paulo Papa from Zigwheels Philippines, and we'll find that out in today's review. Alright, so we already had a first look of the Chevrolet Spark EUV, and I'm surprised with what I'm seeing now. Look at these stickers. And also, they have updated the front fascia. Previously, it's a black bow tie, but they changed it to a Chevrolet script. So you guys tell us, what do you think is better, this Chevrolet lettering or the original black bow tie emblem? And also, I'm a fan of these quad LED lighting. They kind of resemble a particular European brand. You guys know what I'm talking about. We're big fans of how the Chevrolet Spark EUV actually looks. It has the right amount of boxiness and right amount of curves that it gives off that retro look while still maintaining that modern vibe. And also underneath this, probably optional or aftermarket Chevrolet script, is still the charging port for this electric vehicle. And since marami naman ng electric vehicles ngayon, and based on our own experience, if the charging port is up front, parang mas madali siyang mag-charge since you don't have to park this way or that way, and some cables are actually not that long. It's easier to just take the charging port and stick it right here. Alright, so now going on to the side, another thing that we're surprised about is these step boards here and on the other side. Now, I don't think it's not necessary since the Chevrolet Spark EUV has a ground clearance of 140 millimeters. So it's more in terms of clearing the ground, it's more of a car than an SUV, which kind of is a pro or a con depending on how you drive. Now, another thing that we would like to point out, these wheels looks very good. I'm a fan of how it's finished, yung matte niya, just the right amount. Although the stickers over here and along the sides of the car is, I think in my opinion, is kind of overdone. They even put 180 Newton meters right here. It's good to tell people na my car makes that much torque, but I'd like to keep it to myself. Also, you have these roof rails on your white top roof. However, they're kind of like for decoration only because it's explicitly written here, caution, do not apply load. And from this angle, you would notice na medyo parang short yung size ng hood ng Spark EUV compared to the actual, size of the car. Does that mean you have more space inside? Well, the answer is yes, and we'll tell you more about it when we step inside. But first, let's go and check what it has to offer at the back. And like all EVs nowadays, walang spare tire si Chevrolet Spark EUV. Pero meron siyang small compartment right here, which is probably one of our favorite mods of this unit. It's a little small, but tell us, what would you like to put in this small box? And flanking this particular mod is tailgate, which I'm a fan again of the treatment. Maganda yung pagkaka-design ng tail lamps niya, and the tailgate opens like so. And this gives you access to boot space of more than 500 liters. And the space right here, nakita nyo medyo malalim. So it's perfect for tall items, big boxes. Kanina nga may lamesa pa rito eh. And it has cubby holes on the side and even on the tailgate. So there are plenty of organization spaces if you're someone who likes to, carry a lot of things on your trips. Plus, kasya pa lahat ng tao sa loob, which we'll find out when we step inside. One thing to point out, the second row seats, they don't fold flat. So there's some sort of angle. If you put items flat like this, you have to have some creativity to pack things properly. Okay, so now we are inside the Chevrolet Spark EUV. And unlike its exterior, the cabin makes you feel or gives off utilitarian vibes. So that's because there are plenty of black appliques all around the interior of the vehicle. Right in front of me is a black leather wrapped steering wheel, and there are black carbon fiber applications or trims on the steering wheel. Even the bow tie badge here at the steering wheel is black. And I also appreciate the abundance of angular shapes and design languages here. So you can see the the air conditioning vents. They are squarish, they're boxy, which gives off really that utilitarian EUV appeal. Now, I also appreciate the abundance of soft touch materials. So black leather on the dashboard, and what's good is that even the door cards have these soft touch materials. Now moving on to the technology, past the aforementioned steering wheel is a digital instrument cluster, and it is paired with a 10-inch infotainment system. However, the infotainment display does not have wireless connectivity. In order for you to be used, you still have to plug in your phone. They also left out, although there are controls for increasing the volume, decreasing the volume, and skipping songs on your playlist. There are controls on the steering wheel. There's no actual, buttons to change the input on the infotainment system. However, they kept physical controls for the air conditioning system, which is a single zone type, and there are no vents for the passengers at the back. And before we move on, I also would like to point out that the resolution of the screen, especially when you use the 360 cam, is pretty decent. Response time too is also snappy. Now going down below the screen, here is where you'll find the USB ports to charge or to plug in your phones. Now the cubby holes are spacious, however they're open, so there's no lid, walang takip siya. So if you're the type who doesn't want a cluttered space or aesthetically you want it to look good, well, you have no choice. But fit-wise, I'd have to give points to the Chevrolet Spark EUV because despite it having a tilt-only adjust steering wheel, it does have a power seat for the driver. So I was able to find my sitting position, no problem. However, it might not work for everyone since others might have an issue with a tilt-only adjust steering wheel. And some other nice things to have would be its set of 6 speakers, which is a decent number. You also have one-touch power windows all around, which adds to the convenience of the passengers and the driver. And you have speed sensing door locks. So these are the small things that, kind of make a difference and make you feel that the car is complete. Well, anyway, this is not a cheap car, which we'll get to in a few. So here, the second row of the Chevrolet Spark EUV, there isn't much toys for the passengers here. I'm actually expecting to, have at least a pull-down center armrest. But here from this angle, you would appreciate the black interior. So if you're someone who likes, dark mode everything, this is gonna be a good place to sit in. Now, another thing we would like to point out, the size for the interior of the vehicle. So if your concern is maybe maliit for a starter EV or for a small EV, this is not gonna be a problem here with the Chevrolet Spark EUV. So as you can see, this is my driving position. So I still have a lot of space. So unlike other cute cars like the, let's say, Suzuki Jimny, which this car gives off Jimny vibes, diba? It does have good space. So finally, we get to talk about safety. And since the Chevy Spark is only offered in a single variant, it's safe to say that all the Sparks are equipped with a full suite of advanced driver assist systems. But before we go to the list, I want to point out that this car has a 6 set of airbags. And if you're someone who takes safety as a top priority, well, you'll be comfortable driving this vehicle. So also, if issue sa'yo yung mga cars na let's say starter EVs and small cars that have like 4 airbags, some even have 2, this is gonna be a good pick for you. Now let's go back to the list. So let's kick things off with the intelligent driving assistance, which is basically like a combination of adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist. Next is the front collision safety system, which includes the automatic emergency braking and then the notifications or the sounds that will alert you when something is in front of you or when you're about to hit something. It also has emergency lane keeping, lane departure prevention, and lane departure warning. So these are the kinds of safety features that help you, stay in the lane pag medyo nag-gutter ka na, to keep you safe. Also, it has adaptive forward light because this car has automatic LED headlamps and then cruise control on curves. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, it has a 360-degree camera in combination with its parking sensors. The only thing that we've noticed is that this car doesn't have a blind spot monitor. So is that something that you guys can live without, or is that a feature na hahanap-hanapin mo? Let us know in the comment section below. Alright, so now we are behind the wheel, yet again, of the Chevrolet Spark EUV. Power outputs is about 102 PS and 180.5 Newton meters of torque. So how does that translate to real-world driving? Well, power is linear like any other electric vehicle. So as soon as you step on the throttle, you're gonna get that oomph, that power, that acceleration. And in terms of torque, 180.5 Newton meters. It can feel that on the inclines. It has more than enough power to carry you and your passengers, like us. So right now, driving in the car are 3 full-size adults. Actually, 2 full-sized and 1 plus-size. The plus-size being me. It's okay. It's giving us the power that we need. So climbing up the parking area, doing overtakes, hindi ka bibitinin. So I think the concern with electric vehicles is how manufacturers map the throttle, acceleration of these cars. It's because they are no longer using traditional transmissions. Siyempre, when you talk about internal combustion engines, nandun yung gear ratio and all. Bore and stroke, yan, mga technicals. But with EVs, it's all about, computer mapping. And the good thing about the Chevrolet Spark EUV is that you can personalize many things to suit your, let's say, driving style, driving needs. You have your drive modes, which basically acts as your throttle response. You have eco, standard, and sport. So, syempre nga, kasi EVs with electric vehicles, acceleration is really instantaneous. And if you're the kind of driver who likes to, who doesn't like to accelerate too quickly, then you can just change the drive mode to eco para medyo mabagal, swabe lang yung arangkada mo. Same goes with regenerative level and brake feel. You can also personalize or customize those, can also personalize those settings. Now, with EVs din kasi, the stepping on the pedal to accelerate and braking, they're both important factors. Kasi when you brake or when you put your foot off the pedal, that's when regenerative braking kicks in. So, some drivers, they don't want aggressive regenerative braking. So what that does kasi it abruptly or not abruptly stops, pero aggressive yung pag-stop ng electric vehicle to recuperate. Sabi nga ni Sir George Ramirez, it's the car's way of putting fuel back in the tank. And if you want momentum driving, you can adjust it. So if you want medyo comfortable yung braking, you can set it to low. But if you want to put charge in the battery, let's say if you're going downhill, maybe you can change the setting para mas mabilis yung pag-recharge, ng batteries ng EV mo. And when it comes to brake feel, if you want sharper braking without the regen, you can also set that up with the Chevrolet Spark EUV. Those are the things that you can change independently, and those are the things that are nice to have with this particular model. Alright, so when it comes to NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness, the Chevrolet Spark EUV performs decently, right? Siyempre, it's an EV, it's already granted that it doesn't have an engine, so engine noise is already out of the calculation. You still can hear road noise, tunog ng mga jeep, ng tricycles, motorcycles, but not too loud, to annoy you. So I think it's pretty decent. That's a good thing kasi the body of the Chevrolet Spark EUV medyo siya, may substance and hindi siya parang lata, that the noise easily penetrates the cabin. And when it comes to suspension, it does pack the typical McPherson struts at the front and torsion beams at the back. However, it has a weighty feel to it. And again, I think that's good because there's substance to the vehicle. The weight probably that's caused by the battery. So, mabigat talaga siya. Unlike other crossovers, the suspension of the crossovers that can get bumpy or jumpy even when, going over. And that gives the Chevrolet Spark EUV a reassuring heft. That it doesn't just bounce around or just, shakes when driven over road bumps or road stops, unlike what you get with other crossovers. So it's inspiring. It gives you an assurance that, you're driving a vehicle with good build quality. Now, in terms of range, the Chevrolet Spark does about 360 kilometers. Any DC standards, and that is from its lithium iron phosphate battery. Now, based on our testing, real-world testing, we got about north of 300 kilometers, which for our use case scenarios includes a lot of idling since we're shooting videos of the car, and also loops going around the city. So I think if you're gonna be using it as a city car, then maybe, lalo na if your route within the city lang naman din, commute, I think you can go about 5 days or at least a week before you plug it back or you plug it back into the charger. And maybe if you're going on long trips, siguro kaya one way without charging. And then when you're at your destination, plug it in before leaving for home. Like, kunwari, if you're going to Baguio or maybe south in Batangas, the beach is there, aabot siya, actually. So overall, Chevy's electric vehicle does things pretty well. And to top that off, it also looks the part. However, does it really stand out? Kasi nga marami na siyang kalaban. And to find out, we have to consider the price. So let's talk about that next. Alright, so now let's talk price. The Chevrolet Spark EUV will set you back at around 1.547 million pesos. Well, this puts it at par with other electric vehicles and even other PHEVs. But why would you go with the Chevrolet Spark EUV? Maybe for someone who wants an electric vehicle from a trusted brand, maybe that means that their after sales are strong and good. This is one reason to go with the Chevrolet Spark EUV. So let us know, would you guys go for the Chevrolet Spark EUV or would you still consider competitors from Chinese brands na mas aggressive yung price? Let us know in the comment section below. And again, this is Paulo Papa from Zigwheels Philippines, and we'll see you in the next video.